listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G, brought to you from a bottled city in the middle of space. I'm your host, Mike Finkelstein.
Your buddy Mike the Ghoul here, gonna try to find himself at the bottom of a bottle as well while he's at it. My God, can this lady drink?
Nice segue.
Yeah.
Well stitched together right there. We are discussing Supergirl, the movie that has just recently come out from the DCU, the second film and sixth, seventh project, depending upon what everything you count in the DCU. It is not doing well in theaters, unfortunately.
I
But
see that, yeah.
But, it's still a fun movie, and we both had a good time in theaters, so maybe it'll
Yeah.
find its legs.
I hope so. I don't know a whole lot about the lore of Supergirl to begin with, so I don't know how accurate this was to her backstory. Did that really happen to Krypton? I didn't know that. I didn't realize that was a thing.
So this is based on the comic book Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and within that story, this is what happens. But you have to bear in mind that she's had more reboots than Superman has at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. What's canon, what's not,
yeah,
what's Liberty, I don't know.
And I think this is kind of canon for now, but it could just as easily be something else. Like the whole spaceship that she lands with and how everything happens. Her last reboot was in the early 2000s, and then she landed in the middle of Gotham City, and Batman found her before Superman was there. So it's like every decade or 2 decades, they reboot her just like they reboot everyone else, and this is the continuity for now.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It
does work.
It worked.
It does work.
I felt bad for her. I really did. I was like, damn. Not only does she not know what the world was, everything she's known is now dying. I get why she's so fucked up.
Yeah, generally it's accepted that Supergirl, in whatever version she's in now, because, the continuity's fluid, she at least was Kryptonian on Krypton, and she was grown up when, 12 or 16 or something, when the planet explodes. So she has memories of a planet, whereas Clark is just Earthling. He doesn't even know any better. So he just, while he has these powers and he knows he's Kryptonian, he views his home planet as Earth. So they've always had this kind of, difference of opinion ever since her reboot. And this movie only puts that into starker contrast because, and we'll get to this, she wasn't born on Krypton, she was born in the bottled city that split off from Krypton during the Great Cataclysm. She still has this viewpoint of a home planet that she can presumably never go back to.
Right. And the home that she knew was destroyed before she even got to know the home that she knows. So it's a whole tragic thing. But it kind of worked. It was a good fake out because I didn't know it was coming. When she was the gods aren't that cruel, it didn't last a day. I was like, oh, was it minutes? I'm like, oh no shit. It was her entire life. Now I get why I get why she's so messed up. I understand now.
16, 20 years that she was in this bottled city not knowing any better, and then that's gone. Now, we can get into some spoilers and some theory crafting down the road about whether or not that bottled city is actually destroyed or not. But, as far as within the bounds of this specific movie, she thinks she's one of 2 Kryptonians left, and while Clark is happy-go-lucky Kansas boy, she is not doing so well.
No, she's not a fan of Earth, and she comes here and she's speaking Kryptonian, and what are you doing, Clark? You think she's going to speak English? Come on.
He doesn't know
how
the
are you not
language.
prepared for this?
Well, I guess that's a nice thing about the fact that they're trying to clearly establish for Superman as well that this isn't the same Superman of the Christopher Reeve era, where when he lands, he has all of Kryptonian and Earthling knowledge in his brain so he can just operate. This is just a dude that's grown up on Earth. He doesn't know any better. He knows a part of a translation that the robots told him in the Fortress of Solitude, and the rest of it, he's just like,
Well, it's that's my point, though. He's got all this tech, and he's got, the robots inside, and he's got 4 or whatever the guy. You can't tell me that guy could have been hey, maybe you want to take a Duolingo or 2.
Nah, you see, those robots in the Fortress of Solitude are like sea monkeys. You just throw a crystal in the water and they grow,
Fair enough, yeah. Again, with the dynamic, I get it. He's trying to make her comfortable, but doesn't know how, and he's trying to be gentle. I get it, but that I was like, all right, come on, that's a little much.
Yeah.
So before we continue on, though, we do want to take a minute to thank our sponsor this week, InGen. Technology moves so quickly that you need to put your trust in a company that can keep up. 2 years ago, it was the blockchain. Last year, it was the metaverse. This year, it's AI. What's going to be next? Resurrecting dinosaurs from a piece of amber? Why, yes. In fact, that's exactly the next big innovation, and InGen is on the cutting edge of its development. Why invest in a digital dog that won't exist next year when you could buy your own velociraptor that's based on genetics from a million years ago? InGen, creating the future from the past. Thank you this week to our sponsor.
So the movie for Supergirl functionally picks up with her out in space. It's her 23rd birthday, and she's basically on a bender because for the last however many months or years she's been on Earth. And the movies are unclear about exactly how long she's been there. That she
Definitely
has
vague. Definitely vague.
Yeah, she's been depressed and feels alone, even though she has Clark. She feels alone, and like Earth isn't her home. So she very often just goes out into space and finds a planet with a red sun and drinks. Because being around a red sun is the only way that her powers won't kick in, at least not as bad, and she can actually have herself a nice bender. While she's on one planet, she runs into Ruthie, a girl with a really nice sword, who is trying to look for warriors that will fight for her to take out Krem of the Yellow Hills, a bad dude that just killed her whole family. Kara wants nothing to do with it, but she does help fight off a guy that tries to steal Ruthie's sword. But when Krem somehow stumbles on the two of them, steals Kara's ship, and poisons her dog, giving her 3 days to find the cure,
Mhm.
Kara basically has to go on a road trip adventure with Ruthie to find Krem, get the antidote, and presumably help Ruthie with her quest for revenge, or at least try and talk her out of it. All while saving Crypto in the process. It's a quest for a dog, is really what it is. And it's, on the one hand, I can kind of see why people aren't entirely thrilled with the movie because it is a very simple storyline. It's not like it's trying for anything major and it's not trying to be this big bodacious superhero movie. It's a very small story about a girl who's basically clinically depressed for good reasons.
Right.
And it's basically watching her try to rebuild herself into some semblance of something.
Yeah, it's that find yourself mission kind of
Hmm.
thing, where do I belong? Where's my home? What do I have? Like everything sucks kind of thing. Very emo, but like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
because, she's definitely a lot more fun than emo, but it's her growing story. And like, you could say something, and I'm sure, like you said, the critics are going to say it, like simplicity of the story. But at the same time, like, at least you could follow that. Now, do you want to say the dog trope is played out? Maybe a little bit. Like that's been in a lot of things. I'm starting to feel you can call it like the John Wick kind of cliche, almost. I guess is what you'd say, because that's kind of where it felt like it started for me. But overall, like a solid story and solid character growth, and the visuals were good. I really enjoyed this for what it was, and I thought that as a follow up to Superman, which we both liked as well, this was solid,
Hmm.
and it didn't try to be too much. It was 108 minutes. Like it didn't try to be a 140-minute take you on another storyline when you thought things were over kind of mission. Like this was compact. It was good. Was it great? Nah, but at least it was good.
No, I
Uh,
agree with you on this. Like, I don't necessarily see the John Wick thing, but that's only because Crypto was introduced in Superman. If we hadn't
mhm.
seen Crypto before and he was just riding on her ship with her and then suddenly dies, 100% I'm with you. That's a John Wick thing. But this is somewhat different because yes, she does use Crypto as her crutch to her home, but like Crypto is also his own character who was hanging out in another
Yeah,
movie, so it's a little different. But yeah, no, like the quest for dog revenge, yeah, I kind of get that. It's kind of darker, it's kind of grittier, it's
mhm.
doing its own thing. I don't think that's bad. It's not DCEU dark and gritty. It's just
Right, right.
trying to not be Superman. And maybe that's what has people upset. Maybe they want something more like Superman or I don't know, something longer and more. It's hard to know what audiences want at this point because the superhero genre got beaten into the ground by the very people who built it up, Marvel.
Yeah, and like I said, there's something to be said for just like a solid movie that's this length too. It
Hmm.
wasn't trying to be too much, and you get a lot of movies that try to be too much nowadays. And like this was an expensive watch too. Like I saw it in IMAX because I was like, all right, I haven't seen a movie in IMAX in a while. They say see this movie in IMAX. Let me go. The theater was I've forgotten how big it was. It was like 400 seats in there. The screen was like the size of a three-story building. I'm like, my God, this is wild. And visually, it was stunning. There was a lot of really good shots. Like I heard some complaints about like the lighting, but I think if you see it in IMAX, I don't know. I'm not assuming you did because I don't know what your theater's like there.
Crappy.
Um, so I didn't think it was an IMAX, but I didn't want to assume. But to me, I didn't really notice that. So like, did you notice anything about the lighting in the movie seeming like it was too dark? Because I heard that was a complaint from some reviewers that it was just a dark looking movie.
It wasn't too dark. There were a few areas that were quote unquote muddy, especially the big climactic fight at the end is just basically a big CGI dust bowl. And I did feel like in that particular instance, I get they're filming in probably the volume on a soundstage and they can only do so much. I get it. Trying to film it out in a real desert with a real dust storm, maybe don't do that. Maybe do a different place that you're going to hold that fight because the last fight was maybe a little too CGI over the top, not realistic. There was
Right.
plenty of real sets. There was plenty of times where you could tell they're just doing wire work with a stunt woman and maybe just
Mm,
CGIing Millie Alcock's face onto the stunt woman's body. But otherwise,
mm.
it looked like a lot of practical effects they were doing, which was really good. The last sequence being as muddy and CGI'd as it was,
It was, one of those slow, like,
Mhm.
musical numbers, slow motion things, shit flying all over the place. Like, you get those in movies all the time, and like they're fun. But yeah, this was definitely tough to follow in that fight scene.
That
And
one
like,
particular moment with a
what's with
terrible
the bad
song.
guy too? Oh yeah, the song choice was weak too. But like, what about what is this bad guy too? Like, who the hell
I
even was he?
I don't think he's supposed to, like, from what I understand from the comic book, which I haven't read, he's not very much of a guy there, although he's different in the book, but he's not much of a villain. He's just kind of a placeholder. But I think
Hmm.
that's because it doesn't matter what the villain is. That's not the point of the movie. Like, he is just a motivating factor to get Kara to get off her ass, but
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter who it was. In fact, if it's too much of a villain, then that kind of takes away from the specific story that they're trying to tell about Kara.
yeah.
Like,
That's fair. That's
like
fair.
then you're having to balance their storyline against hers and you have to figure out a parallel story. Just having him be this bad guy who likes to kill people and steal women gives just
Hmm.
enough of impetus for Kara to show up
Hmm.
without him getting in the way of her storyline of her, let's functionally say it, survivor's guilt and PTSD.
Yeah, and like the guy, they said he was like as strong as 1,000 people. Like he was throwing Kara around a little
Mhm.
bit, but like what really pissed me off at the end of the movie, though, to be honest, too, is why aren't you moving with the sun if you're the bad guys? I'm dying to know. Like there's a planet and it's got two suns orbiting it, a yellow and a green, and the green sun obviously that fucks up Kryptonians and all that, and like it is so easy for you to just stay in the sunlight of that green sun and not have to worry about her. Like she can't get to you. So like I don't know why they get this need to go find her and everything. Just like let her die. Like
I
the bad
think
guy had no plans to make.
I think their assumption was that the green sun acting as kryptonite just straight up killed her, so they didn't need to worry. They just wanted to find her body. But
Yeah.
instead, you are right. It was kind of stupid that they didn't. It's the same thing. They wanted to actually capture her body as a trophy. Because if it
Mm.
was me, once she's in the green sun and dying, I'm fucking flying somewhere else. I'm not sticking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need. I don't need to be there anymore. I'm fine. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got
And
warp technology. She can't easily follow him. He can just
yeah.
warp to a new planet, and she's not catching up anytime soon. So,
Yeah. But
although, let's be honest, because he knows without anyone telling him that she's a Kryptonian. That's part of the reason why he was at the ship. He wanted to taunt her. But the thing is, this is a villain who makes his own problem. Because Kara wanted nothing to do with anything, and if he hadn't shot her dog, she wouldn't
uh,
have gotten involved.
I think honestly, even if he just stole her ship too, she might not have cared.
Yeah, nah, because she could just hitch a bus back to Earth and be fine. She'd
Yeah.
have to explain it to Clark somehow, but otherwise,
I know, right? But and there was some funny in this movie too. Like
hmm
like I enjoyed the bus ride scene.
hmm
Like the little driver guy was awesome. Like he was
I
very
think he
funny.
was.
Like sometimes these comic relief things could be a little much. He was good. I
He
liked
sounded
him.
like he was voiced by Seth Rogen too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I thought the same thing.
yeah, yeah. He does a lot of voice work now. He's funny. I liked a lot of it. I thought her in the bar was fun. I actually
Yeah,
liked Lobo, although I kind of felt like he was squandered in this movie. Like the villain didn't need more going on, but they definitely needed like 5 minutes or so more of Lobo to really set him in the movie better because he feels
yeah.
very tacked on here.
He does. It's like,
Mhm.
how do we shoehorn what the fans want and make Jason Momoa be Lobo in a movie and get him in there and have him not be directly the bad guy kind of thing? And like
Mhm.
they did okay with that, but I could have used some more him. But at the same time, like, maybe it wasn't as much because maybe he would have taken away from Kara's story. I
I can
thought
see
he
that.
showed up
Yeah.
at the right spots, but we could have used more. Like, less is more sometimes, but he was funny. And, I would have liked to have seen a little more back and forth between him and Ruthie, because that scene in the jail cell too was awesome.
There are flaws for the film, and it's definitely
Mm,
not perfect. Like, I see a lot of people giving it a B minus or so, which isn't bad. Like, that's a
yeah,
low 80, low to 80%, however you want to put it right there. It's a decent score for it. I would kind of agree with that. I would have liked a little more in certain things. I would have liked a better practical conclusion. I
mhm,
think, honestly, the sequences that we had on the bottled city of Argo were fantastic. And while we
yeah,
get a good amount, I could have done with even more there. I have a feeling there's a lot of stuff that's on the cutting room floor just to keep it
right.
at a tight length so that it made plenty of ticket sales, which unfortunately it did not. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It feels like there's a 130-minute director's cut kind of
yeah,
thing in this movie. Like, there's
yeah.
20 additional minutes in here that could have made it in. It would have been fine,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah, might have made it a little stronger in certain areas. This one I feel like could benefit from a director's cut. I didn't
Mhm.
feel that with Superman. I just kind of felt like Superman needed a short intro before it to get me into it. Although I will admit I've
Right.
watched Superman 3 times now, and I don't have that strong opinion of it anymore. I really just really like the film now because I know what I'm
Mm,
expecting. I have a feeling
yeah.
this might be the case with this one. Once you've seen it 2 or 3 times, you're going to know what the film has for you, and you're probably
Mhm.
going to like it better.
I think so too. And like
Mhm.
it's a good movie. Like, this is one that's going to go, I think, a little underrated for when we get, like, all is said and done in the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of superhero movies. I think this
Yeah.
one will be looked at fondly and be like, "Damn, like that was one that was actually better than we thought at the time," because we're getting so much crap and slop lately that it's nice and refreshing to just get a movie that was good. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. It was just good, and that's fine.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Focuses on its character, develops her
Yeah.
well, gives her a good story, doesn't give her a complete story, which actually in this case I think is good because you don't just get over survivor's guilt in a 3-day adventure. Like, you
Yeah.
can get on the path to it, but clearly if she shows up in Man of Tomorrow, her arc will continue there as she continues to build herself. And that's
Mm.
an important distinction to make there. This adventure is over and she found a path, but she hasn't completed her path. She's not finished with her hero's journey yet.
Right. So we'll see.
Mhm.
Maybe she will, maybe she won't. I don't think it'll be tremendously surprising either way.
Yeah. No. I think in general it did about what it needed to for most of it. It just wasn't the film that people were looking for. If they were even looking for it, who knows? I think like
Yeah.
the thing I've seen online that most people are saying most of all is probably this movie should have just been made for half the budget it had instead of 170 something million be made for 80 and then just like see what would have happened. Because if it was made for half the budget, its poor ticket sales wouldn't have
Mhm.
mattered.
And that's the problem with, like, the marketing and stuff, right?
Hmm.
Like, they probably threw 50, 70, 80 million in marketing at this, and it just didn't sell for people. You could
No.
tell by the ticket sales, and that was a waste. Like, you could have given it a couple of good releases, the Super Bowl commercial, like, whatever, but you didn't have to keep doing what you did, because now you put yourself in the hole in a movie that people were probably unsure about anyway, because it's Supergirl,
Yeah.
it's not Superman. And, bullshit superhero movie, just see it, but like that's the way some people are going to think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, unfortunately. So it does put the DCU on shakier ground right now, although I don't think too bad. Superman was a huge success. People have liked Creature Commandos and Peacemaker. Lanterns is coming up on HBO, and then the next big one is going to be, big one, quote unquote, is Clayface, and that was made for only $40 million. So
Yeah,
it doesn't really have to do much to clear its budget.
it doesn't. And that one, from the little teaser trailer we've gotten for that, it looks pretty interesting and good.
And they're releasing it
So like
around
I'm good.
Halloween, which for a horror movie,
Perfect, right?
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
will hopefully do well, and then everything will be continuing onwards at that point. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, Supergirl was decent. Maybe go think about seeing it in theaters. You'll probably have a decent time.
Yeah, agreed. And if you want to pony up for the IMAX, visually it was stunning. But if you want to go and see it in a matinee for $12, it's absolutely worth it. So enjoy it. It's a good movie.
It was fun. This has been Not So Live from Asteroid G, finding our own red sun and getting cronk. I'm your host, Mike Finkelstein.
Your buddy Mike the Ghoul here, gonna get out of here and go jump on his chopper motorcycle and swing around a giant flail mace of a hook to hook people as a bounty hunter too, like Lobo. And
We will see you all next time.